Hello and welcome back to the 4 o'clock and final bulletin of the day. I'm your presenter, Joe Glanville. England have secured Test match victory against Sri Lanka. Our reporter Kieran Wilson has more.
Well, Joe, it was a historic day for England as they secured their first overseas Test victory since 2016. The visitors thrashed Sri Lanka by 211 runs with a day to spare in goal, thanks to centuries from debutant Ben Foakes and Keaton Jennings, who hit an unbeaten 146 yesterday. Here's the moment he secured his century.
That's it. That is it. Indeed, Jennings gets his second 100. Had to wait for a while, but it was worth its wait.
Well, the win was special for Joe Root, who hasn't won a Test match as captain of England for 2 years, including the 2017 Ashes. Here's what he had to say about it, as well as Keaton Jennings' 146.
It's been a brilliant 4 days cricket. I thought we played some really good stuff throughout, be it from the position we're in at lunchtime on day one. From that point, we've generally been in control of the whole game. We know how good a player he is. He's been very difficult at the top of the order in England and on some of the wickets we've played on in the recent past. So for him to come here and once he got to a score, really make it count, shows the mental toughness that he's got.
Well, England will definitely need to show some more mental toughness as their second Test starts on the 14th of November.
Great, thanks for that, Kieran. Now, Germany have launched their first attack on England in 73 years. Newspaper Der Spiegel has taken shots at Manchester City over their business activity in relation to financial fair play regulations. Michael Coleman with more on the story.
Manchester City's 7-month pursuit of Riyad Mahrez has finally been successful. He's passed a medical and a £60 million move from Leicester has been confirmed.
Biggest deal of the window so far, close to £60 million.
Aymeric Laporte arrived for £57 million from Athletic Bilbao.
Raheem Sterling, £49 million.
£32 million.
Million.
Manchester City are known for splashing the cash, but their alleged fiddling of the books could land them in hot water. German newspaper Der Spiegel have claimed that leaked documents suggest a masking of investments into the club via sponsorship deals. A football finance expert dives into the matter.
My name's Kieran Maguire, the University of Liverpool. Whilst UEFA did at one point consider the ultimate sanction, which is preventing a club from participating in UEFA competition. What Der Spiegel were claiming is that Manchester City went to UEFA and said, if you try that, we will use the most expensive lawyers in the world to drag you through the court.
So, have City broken the rules, or have they just found a loophole? Well, back to Kieran.
Well, they've certainly pushed things as far as they can go. When we sort of enter therefore a grey area, and nobody's certain as to whether or not it's in breach of the rules. And the only people that know the rules inside out are the people that wrote the rules.
Back in 2014, UEFA found City in breach of financial fair play regulations and fined them £49 million. However, £32 million was suspended, subject to them adhering to stricter player registration rules in the Champions League.
UEFA kind of knew what was going on and helped them skirt it. You know, if the best players are playing for Manchester City, and UEFA has a competition where they want the best players, money talks.
That was US-based Premier League writer Paulie Questel. Take the Eurostar across to Paris, and you'll find that it isn't just the Premier League champions taking the flak. UEFA are reopening investigations into Paris Saint-Germain after they spent more than €400 million on Neymar and Kylian Mbappe. Man City correspondent Sam Lee believes the spotlight is always on these two financial giants.
Perhaps they are under attack more because the established clubs don't like the money they've got. You know, that is obviously a point of view common among City fans, that they are being singled out.
The financial fair play system has been in place for 7 years, 2 years after Portsmouth's financial demise. But what impact has it had since its introduction? Former Pompey Supporters Trust chairman Ashley Brown believes it has been positive to some extent.
I think financial fair play has had a positive impact. However, I don't think that they are enforced rigidly enough. And in fact, I think the rules should be more stringent than they are. As we're seeing with the leaks associated with Man City, it appears that clubs can still get round them.
The next station is Southampton Central. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform edge.
Here outside Southampton's main shopping centre, it's a bright but blustery day. Shoppers around me are getting their purses out to start their Christmas shopping, But what do Saints fans think about Manchester City's financial decisions?
I think it's a disgrace that City can abuse the rules and regulations and get away with it. They are already the best side, they don't need any more investment. Teams like Southampton just can't compete anymore.
I'm all for financial fair play, but UEFA has to investigate these claims against City to see if they've done anything wrong. Until then, I guess we can't really complain.
It remains to be seen if UEFA will investigate Man City's actions, but for now, it puts a dark cloud over the blue side of Manchester.
The International Football Association Board are to discuss potential changes to the rules of football. IFAB have considered 4 new proposals to introduce to the game in order to make it more streamlined and prevent time from being wasted. Alex Dyer has more on this one.
Pogba, and again, scores with the rebound. Kept his cool.
It's sure that I was lucky, but the most important is the ball went in and I scored a goal.
Sometimes there's at least 5 minutes wasted in general. Stoppages, deliberate wasting of time.
IFAB will have a look at the laws, including this particular element of Law 12, and the next meeting they'll probably propose some slight changes to it. I think that handball is the law at the moment that is very, very subjective.
The International Football Association Board have met this week to discuss changes to the laws of football in an attempt to streamline the game. Proposed alterations include one-shot penalties, no injury time subs, players leaving to the nearest touchline, and clearing up the handball rule. One-shot penalties would eliminate rebounds and means the ball would be out of play once it has hit the post or been saved. Former Premier League referee Keith Hackett has criticised the idea.
I think it's ridiculous. You know, the game's about goals, and therefore if the goalkeeper saves or it hits a post and comes back, then the player should have, or the team that's been offended against, that's why the penalty kick was awarded, should have another opportunity to score.
However, he welcomed adjustments to tackle time wasting in football.
That could be a positive, but the whole aspect of timekeeping is a problem within the game. I think time has come when they should be considering putting in an independent timekeeper. The amount of time that's lost in that period towards the end of the game when tactically managers do make changes could actually be balanced out by the fact that the right amount of added time is played.
Last month, the ball was in play for just 42 minutes when Cardiff hosted Burnley, with the Bluebirds alone killing 8 minutes taking throw-ins. Time wasting isn't just a problem for the Premier League, it happens at all levels of the game. Surrey FA referee Harry Lamajera believes that most of these rules will be hard to implement at a local level.
Stopping substitutions after 90 minutes is pretty obvious, and again, forcing players to walk off the pitch at the closest area just takes frustration out of it for the fans. In terms of ball to hand, I think that's always going to be a grey area, so I don't think any sort of rule changes can fully classify what is and what isn't a handball. But I think overall it's going to be a lot harder to officiate these rules at grassroots level because it's hard to keep track of when players have gone on and off.
Former Danish goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel showed his frustration at the unclear laws following Ivan Perisic's controversial World Cup final incident.
Just hits him. What can he do? It's not a penalty. I mean, if that is a penalty, we will have so many penalties in every game. If it's a penalty, then I think the game is completely ruined. He watched it so many times, it just shows you that he's in doubt. He don't really think it's a penalty, but he hasn't got a clue. What am I to do here?
IFAB will decide whether to take proposals to their annual meeting in March 2019, with many of the game's laws still up for debate.
There's been a big departure at St Mary's, but this time it's not to Liverpool. Southampton Vice-Chairman Les Reed has been sacked, which now piles the pressure on Mark Hughes to get things right on the pitch. Dan Hillstead has this special report.
Real shame for Les because he's done a fantastic job here.
The Saints are marching into Wembley!
During his time at the club and being able to establish this club as a fine Premier League club.
The referee blows his whistle and that is that. Southampton are back in the big time. Marcus Lever's...
Southampton manager Mark Hughes is reaping the rewards of Les Reed's hard work.
back-to-back promotions from League One and the Championship, a 6th place Premier League finish in 2016, participation in their first ever Europa League group stage, and the Carabao Cup final in 2017, their first trip to the new Wembley. It's fair to say it's been a brilliant 8 years for Southampton Vice-Chairman Les Reed. Yet, in the cutthroat world of football, yesterday the 65-year-old left the club with immediate effect, along with technical director Martin Hunter. Was it the right time for them to go?
Yeah, definitely.
Daily Echo sports writer Dan Sheldon believes it has been coming.
I mean, there were talk in the summer that he would have lost his job. Obviously, where they stayed up, everything sort of stayed as it was. So you could argue that it's probably been a long time coming for him.
The stats don't lie for Reed. Former Saints stars Graziano Pelle, Dusan Tadic and Sadio Mane all cost the club a combined 31 million in 2014. Yet Saint flops Guade Carrillo and Sofiane Boufal cost 34 million together in recent years. Both have been shipped out on loan this season.
He's got to take the responsibility for the poor recruitment, poor managers they've had over the last few years since Ronald Koeman, really. I mean, the first 4 or 5 years of his reign at Saints were pretty good, were very good, and then since then it's just gone downhill, really.
Many are labelling Saturday's home match versus 8th place Watford as a must-win for Hughes. Saints are currently 16th in the table and 1 point above the relegation zone. With 1 win at St Mary's this calendar year, it doesn't read well. But Saints hero Francis Benali remains positive.
I think I read a stat somewhere we're 3rd highest out of the whole Premier League out of created chances. So exactly, so it's just little fine margins. I think it is. It's just to turn it in our favour. And from the playing side, I think obviously sort of Mark Hughes has been here for some time now with his staff and is working that philosophy into the team.
Another Saints legend has pinpointed where the squad needs improvement.
Hi, my name is Peter Rodrigues, captain of the 1976 Cup final winning team. They're not scoring goals regularly enough. You know, they've got a couple of good lads up front. Unfortunately, their track record isn't that great when you analyse it. So I think they need a couple of strong strikers.
So, you've heard the thoughts of former players. But what do Southampton fans think? Warning, it does not sound good for Hughes.
Unfortunately, the way it goes nowadays is, they get sacked very easily.
If we lose this weekend, then I reckon he'll be gone by Sunday morning.
We've been playing terribly all season, he's got to go.
I don't believe it'll be long.
I think he's quite a solid manager. I think he knows what he's doing. I don't think he'll go.
It's awful. I'm just sick of Mark Hughes, he's got to go.
He's done out here. He ruined Stoke like last year. I think he has to go.
Saints have not been able to have good starts, I think. So yeah, I think the manager will probably have to go there, really.
This Saturday's match is the dawn of a new era at Southampton Football Club. Yet you feel, if results don't pick up soon, that Les Reed is just the first of many casualties in the backroom staff at the club.
In rugby, the sport's governing bodies could be facing a difficult tackle of their own. The Rugby Football Union may be forced to deal with the latest controversy regarding high tackles and player safety. James Worthington reports.
Is that a shoulder? Is that a tackle? He's appealing there. I think it was a shoulder charge.
It is high, it's reckless. I'm not sure about the legality of the challenge.
Well, let's just watch now. Does O'Driscoll get 2 arms around him? No, he does not. He levels him.
Tackling in rugby. It's a contentious topic, but have the rules to prioritise player safety gone too far? The debate emerged again this week after Owen Farrell's last-minute hit on Andre Esterhuizen during England's test against South Africa. The tackle was sent to the TMO, but was deemed legal, despite Farrell not clearly wrapping his arms around the player, with there being 20.9 concussions per 1,000 hours of match play last year. Mark Jones, chairman of Eastleigh Rugby Football Club, believes that player safety has to be the priority.
I think we probably have to be realistic and take an attitude of safety is paramount. If rugby is going to develop as a game and we're going to continue to attract people into the game, it has to be safe to be played.
The International Rugby Board laws state that a player must not tackle an opponent above the lines of the shoulders, even if the tackle starts below the line of the shoulders. A tackle around the opponent's neck or head is considered dangerous play. 2 weeks ago, Gloucester's Danny Cipriani was sent off for a high tackle in which he was not seen to have wrapped his arms around the ball carrier. Ollie Forley, winger and teammate of Cipriani at Gloucester Rugby, thinks that the rule could have negative impacts on the tackler.
I think a lot of the rules are focused on the ball carrier, especially a lot of the times you get concussed, which is ultimately what they're trying to prevent against. You're actually making the tackle yourself. So what the rule does is it incentivises you to tackle lower, which maybe lowers the risk of the ball carrier sustaining some kind of concussive injury, but it seems to increase the risk of the tackler getting concussed.
A world away from the professional game is university rugby, played on fields just off motorways and crammed into the back of a stinking minibus, but still following the same rules with no assistance of TMO. Under the shadow of the pod, in the new Spark building at Solent, first team hooker Danny James said it's difficult to implement at his level.
It's always hard to implement it because there's a very thin line between legal and illegal tackles, especially in, say, amateur rugby at the moment, so university rugby. It's always hard because each ref have different rules and they're not always updated to the highest standard compared to professional referees.
In the last 6 years, concussion has been the most common injury in rugby, prompting the IRB to change the tackle law in May. Last season, there was 31 red cards in the Premiership, with 224 yellows also being handed out. Russell Smith, head of recruitment at Eastleigh Rugby Club, believes that referees have to take into consideration the differing sizes of players on the pitch.
A referee needs to be aware of, what's going on, who's tackling who. I'm 6'6". If I was tackling somebody 5'5", it's very difficult for me to get where I need to be. So I think that things need to be taken into consideration, and it shouldn't just be a straight red.
Forley thinks that referees should be thinking in a more practical manner, and that slow motion replays are not accurately taking into account the pace of the game.
In terms of the principle of grappling and contact, I think that's sort of widely accepted that that's probably a good thing. I think what players probably want is just more pragmatism when it comes to analysing players wrapping their arms around and also the body height. Personally, for me, when they're analysing a tackle, I think they should just get rid of slow-mo and just do it at full speed, because ultimately that's the speed at which the player's reacting.
For such a physical sport, rugby is fast becoming a more careful game when it comes to tackling, and the decision to prioritise player safety in regard to high tackles has left the future of the sport in the air. With whatever the RFU try to do, there will be opposition from both parties, and they will certainly be left with a rucking headache about what to do.
Looking towards boxing now, and a huge fight awaits us this weekend. Tony Bellew and Alexander Usyk haven't engaged in trash talk in the lead up to their fight, but is it still an issue in the sport? Bradley Adams reports.
Listen, you think it's a game, do you? I ain't being joking. Right now. I'm going to punch your face in. Hey. Right. There ain't no playing here. Come listen down, I don't play games, especially not with bums like you.
Sportsmanship in boxing has been on the ropes in recent years. Forget inside the ring, it's the jabs leading up to fights that have caused controversy. Steve Barnes is an England boxing level 3 coach. He believes that fighters need to behave better.
Sportsmen and sportsmanship and people that have a lot of spectators or people following them have a responsibility to behave well in front of the public eye.
Boxers such as Tyson Fury and David Haye have received criticism due to their aggressive approaches in press conferences. An unprovoked Haye once went so far to say he would cave in Tony Bellew's skull ahead of their bout last year. Haye went on to lose the fight in the 11th round. So do the words carry any punch?
Farouk Vidati. I've been training here about 2 years.
Vidati believes fighters shouldn't make promises they can't keep.
I think a lot of the time as well, it can almost make or break you as well, because if you talk all that trash and you step in there and you don't back it up, then that's, you've put yourself in a real bad position now.
But does trash talk attract a wider audience? Vidati believes it's not as harmful as it seems.
It's good, I suppose, in a way for the sport, because it's attracted a lot of casual fans, which may potentially become more hardcore fans, obviously, from getting involved in the sport and stuff like that. It's put it under a bit more of a spotlight.
Pay-per-view statistics would disagree. Sky's box office channel received 890,000 orders for Haye's first fight against Bellew, but Anthony Joshua's victory over Vladimir Klitschko a month later had more than 1.5 million. That fight had no trash talk in the build-up. On Monday, it was announced that Floyd Mayweather was set to venture into the world of MMA with a fight on New Year's Eve, but he pulled out of an official fight 2 days later, claiming he had never heard of his opponent, Tenshin Nasukawa. It would have been Mayweather's second fight against an MMA star after his win against Conor McGregor last year. Amateur boxer Ben Abbott thinks it's the right decision.
If anything, Floyd Mayweather, I don't know why he's still going. I'm not really a big fan of boxers going over to the MMA. I don't know what he's trying to prove.
The fight was instead planned to take place in front of wealthy spectators only. Mayweather earned a reported £228 million for fighting McGregor. Abbott wants boxing to be more about the battles inside the ring.
It should never really be like that. It should be more of the beauty of the sport and for people that enjoy it, such as people that want to be up there. Floyd Mayweather is to inspire, but after him going up there getting all money, it's not really inspiring as much. It's more about just money. But it shouldn't be like that at all.
The situation has highlighted how money-driven the industry is. Despite being the world's highest paid celebrity, Mayweather is still looking for big paydays. Here's level 3 boxing coach Steve Barnes' take.
You know, anyone who's calling himself the money team has completely lost sight of what the sport is really about. He's excellent, he's fantastic at what he does, but as a character, he's completely abused the sport in a sense.
There were plenty of bad words exchanged between Mayweather and McGregor last August. It didn't help viewing figures. Sky received fewer purchases of that fight than Hay vs Bellew, and Barnes is hoping that trash talk will soon be knocked out for good.
It's up to people what they are inspired by, and things do move on. I heard on the radio the other day, even Big Brother has had 19 series and now it's come to an end. I think it just takes time for people to lose interest, you know, but the sport will remain.
That's all from me at Solent Radio. Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow the Solent Journalism Twitter page for more news.